Looks like we're live. I'm just going to adjust my, maybe a bit more. How's that? No, that's a bit too much. Wobble, wobble. Hope no one gets motion sickness from that. And I need to pop the old chat window out so I can see who's chatting and not have to look at myself delayed 10 seconds, which is how it works on YouTube. Yeah, if you've never actually done one of these, for me at least, there tends to be about a 10-second delay between when I say anything and when I see anyone's response to it. So I think that can be slightly confusing for viewers, but not too much, hopefully. Yeah, but sometimes there's a slight disconnect between what's coming up in the chat and what I see it saying. Hello, Alexander. Preston to see hello tonight. How you doing? And hello, Toriana. And Mofo's Hine, you missed about 30 seconds, dude. So you're quick off the bat. Oh, how's everyone tonight? Oh, well, this happy handful of us that are here now. I've actually been out for dinner. Was Mrs. Angry's birthday. Went out to a Japanese restaurant for dinner, which was quite good. And now I'm home. My beard always go crooked. It's all grey now. I think I'll do my standard vein thing and have a haircut and colour my hair and beard this weekend. Yeah, I'm so bad at getting organised, actually getting a haircut. But I first started thinking I needed a haircut about, I don't know, 2 or even 3 weeks ago. And then just drags on. And normally I end up going about a month longer than I intended without getting a haircut. And there we go. A slow news week in local news. I don't know. The government wants to let, we were talking about this on Tuesday night, the government wanting to let coppers just demand ID from you when you weren't doing anything in airports. Yeah, they're just being the normal reprehensible thing. And yes, you're right, in world news, the mass killing by Israeli soldiers of Palestinians was a bit of a big deal. You know, I think it's now over 60 people killed. Because the Israeli army's apparently never heard of moderation. Hey, Charlie, how's it going? Mofo, I heard of Dick Smith's manifesto, fair go. Heard of it. I ceased to give Dick Smith any of my mental bandwidth when he started to argue from a resource and societal point of view, Australia couldn't support any more migrants, and literally started siding with Pauline Hanson. And he claimed, and I might even give him the benefit of the doubt, that his reasoning wasn't racist, but if you want to stand alongside racists, someone needs to smack you upside the head with a cricket bat so you wake the fuck up to yourself. And I get how people think that's an acceptable thing. Like, sure, this person's a child abuser and murderer, but we think the same on this topic. So I'm happy to stand next to them and say, we agree. Like, no, maybe you fucking shouldn't stand next to child molesters. I'm just saying that, you know, maybe that's a thing. No, Mofo, he'd always said the thing about sustainable Australia, but his argument was that Australia should not allow any more migration because he believes it wasn't sustainable. And he was happy to stand next to Pauline Hanson and spout that. Like I said, give him the benefit of the doubt that his launching point is not xenophobia and small-mindedness, but it was A, the same practical outcome, and B, he was happy to stand next to Pauline Hanson and say, yeah, she's right, we shouldn't have any more migration, which marks him as a colossal fuckwit in my book. It's like, hey, look, I want to argue the logic of my position, and because I'm so desperate for friends, I'll stand next to hideous fucking racists and say, we believe the same thing. Hey, Miss Foxification. Remember, yeah, not a smart PR move. It just shows his head's well and truly up his ass. I mean, Dick Smith has done a lot of interesting and worthwhile things in his life, but yeah, I'm just not into standing silently while someone does something really fucked and going, oh, I might gloss over the fact they're doing something really fucked because they did some other things that were good. It's like, you know, it's like saying, well, yeah, you know, he's a drunk driver who crashed into a school bus, but, oh, I like his idea about a sustainable future. No, fuck it. You know, when someone does something fucked, it's worth pointing out they're doing something fucked. Hey, Catherine. Oh, no, you didn't miss much. I was a bit late today because I was out. Hey, Seth, we missed you, man. Yes, that's the old saying, is foxification. All that's necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. So, yeah, I'm just not. I mean, look, some people take it too far. Like you hear all these things about call out culture, and particularly, you know, internet hate mobs get out of control pretty goddamn fast. But the concept that people shouldn't be held answerable for things they do and say is fucking ridiculous, quite frankly. Look at that. I left my rice cooker on all night. I just remembered that I was cooking rice earlier, but then I went out and it's still. Oh, I'll fix that later. That's okay. It's on. Keep warm. The good old rice cooker. But sorry, funny. I just remembered what I consider to be a funny story about the rice cooker. Mrs. Angry bought it, and she works in an area that has a pretty sizable migrant Asian population, and so there's these strips of well, Asian shops there. This is out Dandenong way, basically, and she asked one of her Asian co-workers what's the best rice cooker to get, and she recommended a particular one. So get this one. Like, it's not the cheapest, but it's the reliable one. Get it. And so Mrs. Angry goes into this shop and says, "Oh, you know, I want this." I think it's a Tiger rice cooker, and they go, "Oh, you sure you want like this one's much cheaper?" And she's like, "No, I want this one." And like the person in the shop put a little bit of effort into discouraging her from buying this more expensive rice cooker. And I thought, what was it? Secret knowledge? It's like, did the Chinese shopkeeper not want the guilo to know about the good rice cooker? The whole thing seemed really weird to me. But yes, where are we? I think I saw Toby pop in there. Yes, hi Toby. Angry family is good. We all just went out together for dinner. AZ I talked to today, not well, not well. He actually sounds like shit. He's trying to record some stuff for me. But yeah, AZ is not well. Hey Tara, how are you? Oh, Miss Fox Crash, is that story awful? For those who don't know, I think it happened in Melbourne. That these two women really quite viciously attacked paramedics and got off their, you know, they were guilty of a reasonably serious assault. And I am a big believer in first responders should be protected. And a judge decided to not give him jail time, which has made him really unpopular. But because my ex-girlfriend of mine was a nurse. My brother's a paramedic. I know what fucking first responders go through. I mean, for fuck's sake, first responders, they're like the shock troops of our society. They go through terrible shit to protect the rest of us. And people who, and it happens on a semi-regular basis, people attack AMBOs or paramedics or medical staff in hospitals. I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you? I know, just people are shit. It's just like when something like that happens, and initially like, oh my god, how could that happen? Oh wait, I forgot for a second. I forgot that people are shit. It's like the answer to almost everything. Why did that happen? Why did that terrorist attack happen? Oh, why was that child murdered? Oh, why did those rapes happen? Oh, why did those soldiers open fire on the crowd? Oh, people are fucked. That's right. Just the short answer to almost every problem in the world is people are fucked. Yeah. Oh God, Shabby, you had a Mexican chicken. Your indigenous study says there's no poverty in Australia. Oh my God! By almost any definition, um, there is a problem with people living in poverty in Australia. And even if someone wants to ascribe to some of the really extreme definitions of poverty, well, then you go to Indigenous communities. But even urban centres have people living way below the poverty line. And oh God, it's a mark of a really privileged person to say there's no poverty in Australia. Yes. Oh, Seth, good. Seth, you're either as old as me or you just like watching really old, cheesy movies. Return of the Living Dead. Yes, where they keep eating things and the paramedics show up and the zombies get the paramedics and then the paramedic zombie gets on the radio show to more paramedics. And the same with the cops. When the cops get bitten by the zombies and the zombie cops on radio show more cops. Oh yeah, Jatma, that makes sense. She'd never been out of Brisbane. Man, people live in bubbles. Um, and it's like it's no one type of person. I mean, you can go, you can go the stereotype and go, oh, it's only those conservative people that don't understand what other people go through. It's only those left-wing people who don't understand the real world. They're in a bubble. It's people in the city. They're in a bubble. It's people in the country. They don't understand outside the. No, people fucking everywhere uh, live in bubbles. And sometimes I think the bubbles are really, really small, like they're about this big. And for the moment, you're in their bubble, they're aware of you and they're aware that you exist. That you're part of their world at that point. But it's like the instant you go out of their bubble, it's like you cease to exist to them as any sort of entity because you're not them. You're not them, and you're not in their world, and they just can't think past about this far in front of them. Max, IDAHOBIT is the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Intersexism, and Transphobia. My work is big into that. That's why I'm always struggling to think of what to call a live stream. And that was today is International IDAHOBIT Day. No. Mofos, it's something they've been taught in schools. What, empathy? I don't know. You try. Okay, seriously, let's talk about that. The Safe Schools program, which was designed to help keep kids safe and to stop bullying and thuggery. And one of the things was teaching empathy. Just like imagine, okay, so you don't know why we're saying don't pick on gay kids, don't pick on trans kids, don't pick on bi kids. Just imagine for a while that you were gay. How would it be with all the prejudices that are around you? How might that affect you? And absolute nutcases descended on, oh, they're telling kids, their idea of telling kids to experience empathy was basically saying, oh, well, they're telling the kids to suck cock because they'll know what it is. No, imagining empathy is not, it's just like, some people, you just can't deal with them. It's like when you try to teach empathy, or as Miss Foxcation says, critical thinking, someone says it's lefty bullshit. Oh, and by the way, hi, Tendo. I did see you said hi, so sorry. I didn't say hi back. I'm saying hi now. Yeah, but when you try to teach empathy, critical thinking, it gets called lefty nonsense. And then you get people out in the world who can't fucking do that. Over VR cocksucking class. That actually reminded me, God, not that I'm old enough to really remember Lenny Bruce, but I did see the film where Dustin Hoffman played him. Lenny Bruce was a very famous comedian in America in the 60s, I think, 1960s. It's very groundbreaking, like, because he tackled a lot of taboo topics. One of his jokes was about a school teacher got sacked somewhere for being gay. People found out the school teacher was gay, and Lenny Bruce is going, but was he a bad teacher? Why are you going to sack someone just because they're gay if it hasn't affected whether or not they're a good teacher? What classes was he running? Like, hi kids, today we're going to do some geography, some math, and then we'll learn cocksucking. And he ended up getting arrested for obscenity for that routine. So that was a fairly groundbreaking thing back in the 60s. So Toby, you received a Spanish Bible you don't remember ordering. That's what happens when you start getting involved with religious tracts and finding out what you can get people to send you. You forget, and weird things end up arriving. So, yes. Tara, you're saying transgender support's been removed from safe schools. Well, in New South Wales, they just got rid of safe schools. Queensland got rid of it. The Victorian state government is continuing safe schools, including support for transgender kids. Sorry, I like that, Chapman. Go back to the girl who said poverty doesn't exist. You were actually doing a presentation on Mr. Fraser being stranded on Fraser Island, and magically it turned to this spurious talk about poverty. That is weird. Seth, wise words. Most evolutionary biologists will tell you that altruism and cooperation is evolutionary advantage humans have. This worship of competition and winner takes all is counterproductive for humans. Humans actually got evolutionary advantage out of being cooperative and having others and having empathy for others. So, yeah. Oh, that thing you're saying in Queensland, they won't give you any gay sports school, and yeah, if you say you're bisexual, that's just a choice you make. Oh my God, I got not by a lot of people, but by a couple of people. I got really hassled a few years ago for using the C word in a video. No, it's not calling a cunt. I've never really got in trouble for calling someone a cunt. I think it was a video I did with Mistress M, and we were talking about people trying to control the lives of people who are gay, and particularly this religious idea of it's a choice, it's a lifestyle. I was like, no, these people can't tell you what to do. If you choose to lead your life this way, they don't get to tell you you can't. And a number of people zeroed in on the fact I used the word choice when I talked about being gay. I said, look, if you And I either said, if this is how you choose to lead your life, or if you choose to be gay, you know, like just as a throwaway thing. Some people got absolutely fixated on it and totally spacked at me. Um, um, and I actually tried to have a rational discussion. I go, look, it was just a fucking word, okay? But if you really want to argue it, you know, I'm old enough that when I was at uni in the 80s, early 90s, the gay orthodoxy at the time was because there were Christians saying that you know, gay sex is like a bestial thing. You can't control it. It's like, you know, it's just this awful primitive thing. And the gay orthodoxy at the time was that it was a choice, and it's a rational choice, and you can't tell people that they can't be gay, and you can't denigrate it by saying it's this gross base instinct that you can't control. Um, and then basically the orthodoxies changed in the intervening decades, saying, you know, it's not a choice, it's who I am, which is what I believe. Um, but I just tried to point out to people, like, you're getting really obsessed by a word. And the fact is, it doesn't matter what you say. Like I said, in the 70s, 80s, mainstream gay voices were saying it is a choice that is our right to make. And the religious fundamentalists went nuts and wouldn't go along with that. And now people say it isn't a choice, it's innately who I am, which is what I believe. And the religious fundamentalists won't go along with that either. Like, obsessing over that word is not going to help you with bigots, because bigots are going to bigot no matter what. Was that Max? If I say it's a choice and I'm free to choose how to live my life. Well, that's the thing. Yeah. The idea of interfering with who people choose to fuck is, you know, like I say, it works out. Bigots will go nuts either way. Whether you say sexuality is a choice, they'll come up with all reasons why it's an evil choice. And if you say sexuality isn't a choice, then they'll come up with all the reasons why that's evil as well. So it's like, don't waste time playing their game. Don't waste time being dragged down by it, because they're just pieces of shit. And you can't actually win people like that over with logic or evidence or calls for compassion or empathy, because they're just completely shut down in what they're willing to think about. So, yeah, fuck them, I say. But yes, but that was my fun thing a couple of years ago. I had people calling me homophobic and really getting angry and hating me, and I'm like, and at a certain point when people get really angry at me, I just go, "Cool, you're angry at me, fine." Oh, thanks. Toby, Celtic King texted, thinks I'm sexually attractive. That is pleasing to. And that's the other thing. I've never. Oh, maybe never's too strong a word. Like, as a teenager and growing up, I was in a very homophobic environment, and I would have been very homophobic. You know, from once you get to like college and, you know, adult and the world, where hopefully you get a bit rational. Yeah, if on, it's only been rare occasions when dudes have said it that they found me attractive. I'm like, cool, thanks. I'm pretty happy when anyone finds me attractive. Quite honestly, I'm not. I'm not picky. But yeah, it's just, yeah, I'm just not into dudes. So, yeah. Mofo, what is it that you reckon? Oh, made marriage equality campaigns to see focus on ordinary people. Yeah, and it was the marriage equality campaign in Australia, I found quite surreal, because literally everything that the anti campaign was running was lies and not about marriage equality. They, like, the vote was purely and simply on marriage equality. And they went, no, it's not. It's a vote on this. It's a vote on this. No, it is one. It is literally one thing and one thing only, and it is a vote on marriage equality. And it's absolutely ridiculous. What's that, Chapman? Your grandma and I threatened to send you to a mental home at 15. Good Lord. That's pretty hardcore. Oh, God, Tara, you're right. The bloody nude body scanners at airports. Yeah, an additional level of hassle for transgender community. Mind you, if I have to go through them, I'm going into like a toilet cubicle just before and watch some porn and go through there with a boner and stand in the scanner and go, yep, take it in. Take it all in. They want to see it, they can get the whole bloody service. Oh, actually, Toby, yes. Okay, Celtic King asked if I posted the VD letter to my WordPress account. No, I didn't. I kept promising to do that. And now I did keep it. But we'll have to find it because I did say I'd do that. And I think it would be of interest to people. But yeah, Tara, I agree with you that the anti-same-sex marriage campaign, the lies, the scare campaign, made people unsafe, fucked up people's lives. It was abominable. People were said, "Oh God, you haven't that whole thing about threatening with a mental home was for being bi." Fuck me. Okay, good-o. Head cases. What's my thought on selective enforcement on moral values by religious bigots? One of the things I always say is what I really can't stand is hypocrisy. If someone's arguing a point of view that I just disagree with, and they argue in good faith, I'll do it like they go, "Oh, this is a moral question. You know, uh, you can't let gay people marry. It's a moral question." And then you find out the loudest voices are hiring male escorts on the side, or the people preaching, the sanctity of family are having affairs. It happens so often. If someone's presenting like a moral argument that I disagree with, but they're doing it with integrity, I'll argue with them. But I can't stand the hypocrisy. It's just like, oh my God. It's at DSO, and it's like every other time people want to forward in Australia, bigwigs want to go against it and risk riots. Hey, I reckon you want riots. I reckon the Conservatives' continuing attack on unions is going to blow up in their face if they keep doing it. It's yeah, it's like they don't understand they're doing unions a favor by victimizing, because it becomes obvious that it's politically motivated attacks and it's not based in reality, and that the unions do more good for ordinary people than the government does. But they're so blinded by their ideology, they think that, oh no, I can just attack unions non-stop and there'll never be any blowback. And people forget how we got to where we are with basic decent working conditions, a 40-hour week, safety in the workplace, protection for workers, all that sort of thing. Unionist workers fucking died for that. The bosses and the government murdered protesters, and it feels like we're not that far from it happening again. That the tactics of the bosses and the way they pay off fucking conservative pollies, and the pollies send the cops in. I feel like we're heading back to where people will literally be dying to protect their basic rights. But yeah, it's like when governments don't understand that brutally repressing people causes kickback at some point. Oh yeah, suffer work choices 2.0. The Libs have never abandoned their desire to completely fuck industrial relations in Australia. They basically want workers to have no rights whatsoever. So, like, no permanence in your job, no protection in your job, no minimum wage, no minimum conditions, no right to strike. Just basically fucking everyone except the very small number of bosses who protect them. Heading off, Toby. Bye. Yes, we love Celtic. Tell Celtic King we all love him, and we're all thinking good things as he's trying to sort himself out now. So we're all sending the positive vibes to Celtic King. You know, some of us are nude while we do it. Tendai. How long till the point where we either? I tell you, there is one. I can't remember his name. He's like an American billionaire, and he's like, really respected conservative figure. And at some big talk fest for company heads and rich bods and whatnot, he stood up and said, "We have to stop doing this shit where we just fuck people over, because you think you can do it forever and you can't. You'll push people to a breaking point, and then they will fucking break into our penthouses and drag us into the streets and hang us from the lampposts, and we'll fucking deserve it." And he's basically trying to shake all these rich people by the collars and saying, "Stop fucking people over. You can't keep pushing people forever, because it reaches breaking point and people fight back." Now, Tendo, it wasn't Bezos. He's not as well known as Bezos. But like, he was an old white guy. He's basically an old white guy. And he just said, "Look, I'm seeing how angry people get, and with good reason. And if we don't stop fucking people over, it will get to the point where they drag us into the street and hang us from lampposts." We've got to be reasonable. You can't just keep fucking people over forever, because eventually they kick back. And it's not if you push people to breaking point, the pushback is not slow, gentle, and gradual. The pushback is like smack. Jeremy, you think that's how the Palestinians think of Israel? Well, I mean, Palestinians are completely being crushed by the Israeli government and the Israeli army. And yes, I think you're probably right that there would be a tendency to see all Israelis, or Jewish people generally, as an amorphous blob, which is clearly not true and not fair. But Jesus, there aren't many people in the world being fucked over worse than Palestinians at the moment and for the last couple of decades. Gloria, Either Rich, is that the Motorhead song? There was a movie. It wasn't great, but it had its moments. It was funny. A British comedy in the late 80s or early 90s called Eat Rich. It had some good stuff in it, but it was basically, these downtrodden lower classes started a restaurant that they called Eat the Rich, and it was very high-end stuff. They were actually killing rich people and carving them up and grinding them up in the kitchen and serving them to other rich people who the other rich people thought it was a joke. And as a thing, like, the staff were all very angry and abused the rich people, and the rich people thought it was a joke, and it was a thing. "Oh, look, it's like they hate us," except they really did hate them. And the joke about Eat the Rich, and the stuff on the menu said, like, it was sirloin of banker and whatnot, and they thought it was a joke, but it really was rich people they were eating. So yeah. I think we need hot sauce when you eat the rich, or just put them in a slow cooker to tenderize them. One of the two. But yeah, it's ridiculous that some people think you can fuck people over forever and never have any payback. So that's, you're doing better since you got a mental health counsellor. Good. Good for you, buddy. I'm glad it's working out for you, and I'm glad you've got someone helping you. Are you, yeah, people shitting on you for having a learning disability? Well, fuck that, man. It feels like you're taking the steps to look after yourself, which I say, 2 thumbs up. You look after yourself, you're getting the help. And I agree with you, man. There are too many people who fucking put you down. If you go, oh, I need help, either with my learning or my mental health, support like that, and people go, oh, you're weak, there's something weak. No, fuck that. Actually recognizing that you need the help and taking the steps to get it, that's not a small thing. That is a good thing, and I'm glad you're doing it, and I'm glad it's working for you. Safi, Europe will always defend Israel. Well, the governments, yeah, and I'm sure that's what you meant, Safa, as in the government, because of course it was the European powers who, after World War II, arbitrarily decided to create the state of Israel there in the Middle East, and they had their own reasons for doing that. Some less savoury than others. Oh, yeah, if people put you down for, anxiety or autism or Asperger's, basically, if you're atypical in any way, and people give you shit about, fuck those people. I really don't like it when people aren't supportive. It really shits me, in fact, and it's one of the things, having been, well, I've been on the internet for well over 20 years, but through social media, I started to get really active through YouTube, like, oh god, 12 or 13 years ago now, and made lots of friends, came into contact with lots of people, and lots of different people with different lives, different needs, and yeah, lots of people have a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of shit going down, and they don't need someone hassling them on top of that. So, Catherine, in a foul mood, you had an NDIS planning meeting, so it was unreasonable wanting physio. Man, yeah, that shit's bad. I mean, I don't qualify for NDIS. I'm paying for physio at the moment because I fucked my shoulder up. But yeah, if you dealing with serious health issues and people are making your life even harder, that really sucks. So, Darren, you had to leave the world to balance with your mental health. You mean like withdraw? Man, I had to leave a job last year to protect my mental health. It was just a toxic environment, and the stress levels were so high. Like, I was starting to feel physical health repercussions from it. I started to basically see, if this keeps up, this job could kill me. And it's not a small step to go, oh, I have to quit this job just to protect myself. But it did, and it was for the good. It ended up being off work for about, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months. I've been in a new job for a couple of months now, which is going quite well. And I don't know, something weird about it. It's the workplace is, it's like public service, and it's a bit all over the shop, and some of it's a bit dog's breakfast. But for some reason, it's not stressing me. It's like, I don't know, I got good communication going on with various people, and for the moment, I feel like all is good. So that's positive. That's an interesting one, Mofo Sign. Does anyone do pen pals these days? That would be a very archaic. That's what I said. Anyone sends a postcard to the Angry Mail box, and I'll handwrite you a postcard back. Text and email and DMs and whatnot. That's all too easy. Actually, putting pen to paper and sending it is good. Oh, Darren, I'm glad you found a new equilibrium for your life. Yeah, a little bit. Social can be really stressful. Okay, I'm not a very social person. I'm just really happy in my little domestic situation. I do organize social things with YouTubers on a semi-regular basis. But yeah, I'm not a very social person, quite honestly. It's too stressful. So Jan, oh, you have pen pals, Jan, no? My Xbox friend in Sydney, mate in Laos, someone in jail. All right, like 1800 style. Fun. That does sound good. My first line, if trolls sent me a letter instead of flaming me online, I don't think it's good for your mental health to engage with trolls. There'll be a bunch of people who disagree with me. But yeah, if someone, and I have actually had letters arrive in the mail with abuse, I just throw them out. I have zero interest in engaging with abusive people. Ah, sorry, I only do Christmas card exchanges. That could work. Oh, that's a good plan, Tara. If things overload, get unplugged from the world and go to bed. And you have a second mobile only your wife knows. That sounds the good. I think most of us need a plan like that. And as Rick is saying, it may not be Pornhub, but we're still talking about sex anyway. So, oh no, I'm out of drink. I should get some ice. I got some Pepsi and I got some lime juice, which tastes so good in Pepsi. Shout me a question of safety in Indochina. Current situation in Australasian continent is far from dandy. Mother and father enjoying good health currently schooling. Like that, yeah. So see, you've got to do stuff you're comfortable with. Yeah, you have a bit of social anxiety, but you're okay at a punk show or a skate park. I think it's like you find your space, you find your zone, you find your people, and you're good. I reckon. So are you saying when you say allow people to adopt each other, do you mean parents adopting children, or are you talking? You're saying some people say they adopt each other, so they're brother and sister type thing. That's weird. I hadn't heard that. Ooh, nice, Darren. Studying ecology, getting in touch with nature. That sounds pretty good. Okay, I'm just going to get some ice. Lots of ice. I like lots of ice. All right, get some Pepsi. Add some additive. Some other additive, maybe. I'm not going far, Max, just far enough to get some ice. Spice it up a little bit. Lots of squelchy stuff here. Just rinse out my little jigger. Top off with Pepsi, and all is well in the world. Should stop mentioning my brand name. They don't sponsor me. Why should I give them free publicity if they don't give me money? It's all about money. And you do things for money. Mofo saying, I think there are probably a lot of problems with the foster system. And only one of them is you don't develop a bond. Second is there are a disturbing number of cases that people who get involved in the foster system are more than slightly predatory nature. So yeah, that's an interesting one. A bunch of TAFE courses are going to be free in Victoria, and it's TAFE courses that steer towards particular trades and jobs that are under catered for. Like there is an undersupply of people for those particular trades and professions. Fucking ace idea. It's an investment. The government said we're investing in both people and the economy by encouraging people to take these courses, by making them free. And it's like, funneling people into careers that we need people in. Fucking great idea as far as I'm concerned. I see where you're coming from now, Murpho Sign, that if people could adopt another person as a sibling, like as in someone they wanted to form a bond with, but not be parent-child relationship, maybe that would be a really positive thing. Maybe, I reckon that's an idea with legs. Yeah, Darren, I reckon the idea of these TAFE courses being free and helping people into jobs is fucking great. Yes, Tara, I am broadly in support of our current state government here in Victoria. It's been hilarious since Daniel Andrews won the election, which was slightly unexpected. The conservative media, the Murdoch rags, have been waging a non-stop propaganda vendetta against him. Any little thing they could have a go at him over, blow out of all proportion. And when there's not something that they can actually blow out of proportion, they just make stuff up. They absolutely make stuff up, and they do it all the time. And just like fabricating the idea that there's a crime wave in Melbourne when the crime's going down and it's one of the safest places in the world. It's like they just make shit up that's completely untrue, and then they just go on about it. So has that bearing helped whose channel, Pat? Yeah, I mean, with that whole TAFE thing, because my kids are of an age where that could help. I didn't know if there's anything there that appealed to them, but they're looking at doing other sorts of study, so that's okay. But I just think that whole thing with the free TAFE courses is great, because it's not just random TAFE's free. It's a bunch of designated courses that would move people into careers where there aren't enough people. And it's everything from trades to nursing and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I reckon it's a great idea. Ricky said, no one tells you about what's happening here in New South Wales. Oh well, fair enough. Darry, you have the second highest rate of car theft. See, that's a weird thing. And I first heard this fucking years ago when I worked for an insurance company. It was just this study of global patterns in insurance. And they highlighted sometimes there's an unintended consequence. And basically, from the 80s on, and through the 90s, definitely now, cars have been getting progressively harder to steal, like electronic locks and all that sort of thing. And cars have been getting, particularly prestige cars, have been getting harder and harder to steal. So what happened is, and this was talking about America at this point, there was a rise in carjackings, because that's the only way you could steal a car, if someone was in it and had the keys in the ignition. So because luxury cars had gotten harder to steal, the rate of carjackings went up. And this is the thing we are seeing in Melbourne, or have been a couple of years. while most crimes have gone down, there has been a bit more in the realm of carjacking and what they call aggravated burglary or home invasion. And the reason for both is the same, because the perpetrators are trying to steal prestige cars. You can't just break into them and hotwire them because their security systems are so good. So you need the keys. So they're jacking them while the driver's in them, or they see expensive cars in a driveway of a house, and so they break into the house while the people are home. And one of their main things they're after are the keys to the expensive car, because that's the only way. So it's weird where you have this unintended consequence. You improve one thing and moves things over there. I mean, like in another live stream, there was we were talking about historical crime in Australia and how the razor gangs in Sydney, in particular, in the 1920s, were really hardcore. And I recommend reading a book called Chow Hay's Gunman. Absolutely amazing stories about this particular very scary thug. And but one of the things, like him and his mates were shoplifting really expensive items like fur coats and saddles, apparently, for jockeys. Apparently saddles are really expensive, but they were shoplifting heaps expensive stuff, jewelry and fur coats and whatnot. And in fact, in modern terms, they probably, over a number of years, allowing for inflation, stole tens of millions of dollars worth of stuff. And the shoplifting was kind of getting out of control. And so the cops introduced, or the courts and the politicians introduced, a kind of 3 strikes thing, that if your third conviction, because, shoplifting, you'd be out of jail in 6 months. And these guys, fucking hardcore psychos, they didn't give a shit about spending a few months in jail. But so they thought, okay, these guys aren't scared of 6 months in jail. So they introduced a law that the third time you were convicted of shoplifting, you'd be sent away for 10 or 20 years. So they went, that'll teach them not to shoplift. But all it did was these hardcore crims just went, oh, so now simple shoplifting will get me the same prison time as stabbing some motherfucker and robbing him. Oh, well, I guess it's stab and rob time. So they just thought, I'm going to be prosecuted for a minor crime the same way I would for a major crime. That, in their mindset, that doesn't mean, well, don't do the minor crime. They went, fuck it, let's just do major crime anyway. So it's unintended consequences. It's like, oh, I'm going to stop people from shoplifting. Yeah, and they moved into armed robbery. It's just like, wow, okay. So what's that, chat, Matt? Google the main inheritance. About 1850s Brisbane killer they never caught turned out to be a guy who was batshit crazy, and he admitted it to his daughter, and she wrote a biography. Oh my God, okay. Darren, I think you're on the right track. I should say right track. Talking about more education and support for people who are in vulnerable positions where they often get led into crime. That will help reduce crime. Look, obviously, there are just bad people. I'm not saying, oh, criminals are just misunderstood. They just need love and cuddles. No, there are bad people. There are very bad people. But there are also people in bad situations with no support, where a little investment in them as people will help society as a whole. But no, that's crazy lefty talk. What's that? Local news: Union Royal Commission collapsed. Oh yeah, yeah. How surreal is that? The incredibly politically motivated Royal Commission into unions fucking fell apart. Which honestly, I think just points to bad management, because surely they could have got them for something. But yeah, no, the Banking Royal Commission, which the Conservatives fought against for years, has just uncovered rottenness top to bottom in the finance industry. Absolute evil and corruption and abuse of the public and flagrant breaches of law. And it's like, oh, whoops. And it's just like, yeah, the Conservatives held up unions as the big bad boogeyman who were evil and corrupt and doing terrible things. We have to get them. And they haven't been able to get them for anything. And then they're like, no, we don't want a banking royal commission. That would be a political sideshow. And they finally got backed into a corner, and it's just uncovered the worst fucking criminal behavior all through the banking industry. I like that, Darren. You're piping up when I think about criminals saying there's good in all, except the banks, except the bankers. All people have some good in them, except bankers. But yeah, it's just like people who are so driven by ideology, and this is whether they're left, right, or whatever. When people who make all their decisions based on ideology rather than shit that's actually happening, it leads you into incorrect fucking decisions, basically. So you think America's having a Tony Abbott? Oh God! Interestingly, well, not interestingly, sickeningly. I don't know if anyone else has noticed. If anyone else is on the Twitters or pays attention to the fringe players in Australian politics, but Tony Abbott and a couple of us, and some of the more mainstream people in the Liberal Party, are clearly trying to position themselves as Australia Donald Trump. Like they're tweeting stuff like Donald Trump does, and it's really fucking intelligence insulting. Like, I think Tony Abbott has finally accepted he's absolutely irrevocably sunk his mainstream political career. So now he's fancying himself as a maverick. He's got to be the outsider. He's got to be the free speaker. And oh man, he's a piece of shit. He's so awful. No, you're right. So in the drug world, a lot of people at the sort of base level of dealing drugs, trafficking drugs, they're not huge drug kingpins. They're desperate people struggling. And they're being manipulated by major crime figures. But they, yeah, a lot of people who are, criminals are not inherently bad people. And a lot of people who aren't criminals, who are paragons, fine, upstanding pillars of society, are really fucking bad people. Yeah, you're right, Mofo. Son, that Tony Abbott should just say, "I was Trump before Trump." Give me some credit. Max, what's TDS? I'm missing something really obvious. And Toriano, financial advisors get training. Yeah. Oh no, the stuff that's being uncovered about financial advisors who make money if they lose all your money. Fuck me, that shit's bad. And the libs want to make it legal. They wanted to make it legal for a financial advisor to knowingly give bad advice to a consumer. What the fuck? Oh, you got to go, Tendai. Thanks for dropping by. Bye. And yes, Tara, you're absolutely right. For some reason, John Howard is poking his ugly fucking head up over the last year or two. And that's a guy who's like a decade past his fuck off date. Why the fuck he thinks anyone wants to hear from his weasel head is beyond me. But for some, yeah, it's like a doctor getting, and actually that does happen in the States, doctor getting kickback from drug companies or giving bad medical advice and getting people on drugs they shouldn't be on. Oh my God. Sorry, Shabba, just quoting someone who said John Howard was the greatest economic manager in Australian history. Oh, John Howard was all fucking hype. He's responsible for almost everything bad in Australia at the moment. Fuck that guy. Hey, Abbott. Oh, so, do you mean the old? I feel like you're talking about the annoying orange there. Hey, Apple. Hey, Apple. Hey, Abbott. Hey, Tazzy. How you doing? Yeah, Darren, a free tracksuit with John Howard. Oh my God, you just remind me, one of the funniest things, while he was still Prime Minister, and he used to do that little shuffly jog, let me get my health, yeah, and good, more power to him. You're gonna, he's out there and he's got like his Fed police guard sort of jogging alongside him. And he was out in public doing that once. Like, yeah, when you see some world leaders with the fucking ring of steel they have around him, and Howard's just going, look, here we go, here we go, here we go. And someone who was apparently a fan of John Howard's, John Howard, and just ran up and hugged him. And federal police did not stop. This is quite young guy. I think he was still a teenager. He ran up and hugged Howard, like, oh, love you. And what world leader can you do that to without getting shot, basically? But there's nothing. But the real kicker was this kid had so spontaneously decided to run up and hug John Howard. He had a fucking screwdriver in his hand when he did that. He had a screwdriver. He lunged at the Australian Prime Minister and grabbed him with a screwdriver in his hand. And the bodyguards didn't stop it. It was bizarre. The Heretic. You say, oh, I hear versions of that so often, saying YouTube unsubbed you from me. Yeah, I don't know. I hear versions of that so often. I don't know what YouTube's doing. And video games are fun. You're editing on your computer. Oh, you can you listen while you're editing? That sounds true. That's right, Charlie. Then the Chaser Boys tried to do it too. I really hardcore sports. More people hate EA than John Howard. I think, yeah, EA has a lot of hate. And that's the thing, because they're a global company. They have people who hate them in every country in the world. Oh, Heretic, it's the usual. I guess you missed a lot. I've been on for about an hour or so. And we've done the normal sort of, let's talk about 100 unrelated things and jump all over the place. Yeah, Ruki said you're behind in editing too. I keep meaning to put a bit more effort into editing my videos. I can script something and structure it and edit it and make it all showy, or I could do a one-take monologue and be done with it. I think I'll do the one-take monologue. But I put I put a few different things in the short video I made last night. It's fun to do occasionally, but the idea of the stress of doing a lot of editing all the time, I don't know. Oh, the Laurel and Yanny thing, yeah. That's what I made the video on last night, just for a bit of fun. But it's fascinating, and likewise, when I made the video, it is actually more related to that whole dress thing that a lot of people realize. There's a couple of things they have in common, but mainly is because the source was such low quality. You can't actually give an objective answer because what you see or what you hear is affected by a whole bunch of variables. In the term of the picture of the dress, depending on what monitor you're seeing it from, the light around you and colors around you, and just how you perceive color. And with the Laurel Yarny thing, it depends what speaker you're hearing it out of, what ambient noise there is around you, and also how good your hearing is. So the idea that you could have a definitive answer simply isn't correct because perception is changed so easily that you can't have like an objective truth. So I swear the first time I heard it, I heard Yarny, but ever since then has been Laurel. Yeah. Darren, what do you ask? What would be the biggest worry in the public sphere? Is apologies your answer to that? I'm not sure what you're saying there. A video game, yeah. We could be a Matrix style thing. It's weird how easy humans are to manipulate. Oh, Charlie, I think you hit on something. The more expensive the headphones or speakers and the more bass they have, you're far more likely to hear Laurel. The like smaller, cheaper, tinnier speakers or earbuds, more likely to hear Yanni. Seth, what do I think about Jordan Peterson? Jordan Peterson's a fucking fake. He's pretending to be an look. People can have their views; they can say whatever they want, but all Jordan Peterson's shit falls apart under the slightest scrutiny. Like, he just says stuff. Women are different, and you can't. It's like he just makes these sweeping statements that not only have no evidence to support them, but huge amounts of studies show he's just factually incorrect. He's a really shallow fake intellectual. Oh, okay, Darren, you don't have to apologize for asking questions. That's the fun thing. We jump all over the stuff, all over the place with things we talk about. So you're asking what would be the biggest worry in the public sphere? Again, it kind of depends what you mean. Biggest worry for who, or what do I worry most about in the world? Are you just asking me personally, or do I think what's the biggest problem for people? Yeah, so you were saying that hit it on the head. You played Yanni Laurel in studio monitors and heard Laurel, but if you hear it through a shitty radio, it sounds like Yanni. Yeah. It's basically the shittier the sound, the more likely you are to hear Yanni, and the deeper and bassier the sound, the more likely you are to hear Laurel. Darren, it's a good question. What is the biggest, so like, short term, immediately, I think we have problems with extremism in all sorts of forms, from religious terrorism, extremism, through to political extremism, like, crazy shit you're seeing in the States. I think short, immediate term, all the different flavors of extremism, Nazis coming out of the woodwork, for fuck's sake. I think that's our biggest short-term concern. I don't think there's any bigger long-term concern than climate change. Like, the likelihood of there being catastrophic repercussions in as little as 50 to 100 years, and stuff that cannot be reversed. Like, there's like this idiot mindset that it's like, oh, okay, but if climate change just come true, then we'll stop. You go, well, if you get to radical temperature changes, radical sea rises, radical weather changes, you're fucking stuck with that for a century, okay? It's basically the worst case scenario is the complete destruction of human civilization. Not necessarily extinction, but fucking Mad Max type hellscapes. That's a great attitude, Toriana. Be positive in yourself. You're worried about the environment, garden. Look after native bees. Just do positive things. Le Heretic, I honestly don't know if Jordan Peterson claims climate change is a hoax. If I find evidence that he does, that's it. Fuck that cunt. Anyone who uses a public platform to say climate change is a hoax is a fucking enemy of humanity, because it is absolutely impossible to put forward any logical scientific case for climate change is a hoax. It's basically literally all the evidence says it's real, and the likely outcomes in the next 50 to 100 years are, catastrophic. And for someone to say it's not real at all, you're the scum of the fucking earth, because you have nothing but ideology to drive that. Literally all of the evidence confirms that human-caused climate change is real, is happening, and is pushing us towards catastrophic outcomes. To say it's not real, you're the scum of the fucking earth. It's just, there's no defense. There's no, oh my God, no, fuck you. You are literally an enemy of humanity. Oh my God. Sorry, are you actually, okay, I haven't paid that much attention to Jordan Peterson, but are you actually saying he's a Holocaust denier and a 9/11 truther? Because that is just fucked. Okay, I'm now compelled to Google. Is Jordan Peterson Holocaust denier? See what comes up for that. Here it is. Okay. First, there's an article saying Jordan Peterson's Hitler obsession. Jordan Peterson, blah, 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 blah. He's not afraid to talk about the Jews. Okay. So these people saying, okay, is saying he does say anti-Semitic stuff. He says he's been obsessed with the Holocaust since he was a teenager, lectures on it frequently. Say this admission may encourage anti-Semitism. He feels like there's nothing that really says he's a Holocaust denier here. But that's interesting. There's a thing from his own website. Okay, this is his own website. So they're asking questions saying, are you a Hitler lovers? And he's dancing around without saying, no, I'm not a Hitler lover. I think, oh, look at, I'll tell you one thing about Jordan Peterson, in my opinion, when people interview him and go on the full-on accusation thing and say like, oh, but you think that, they're stupid. I've seen two examples of styles of interviews with Jordan Peterson. One is where someone says, oh, so you're saying this, so you're saying that, and putting words into his mouth, and that ends up making him look good. It's like, oh, you're not letting him speak, you're putting words in his mouth. But I've seen interviews where people just let him talk. They're just like, yeah, explain what that means. You give Jordan Peterson enough rope, he hangs himself pretty quickly because he's fucking shallow and there's nothing to what he says. If you just let him keep talking, he buries himself pretty bloody quickly because he's full of shit, basically. Yeah, Le Heretic, I think there's evidence that he talks shit about Jewish people and the Holocaust and whatnot in a way that's very appealing to anti-Semites and outright neo-Nazis because he's giving this cloak of intellectualism into, well, maybe it was the Jews' own fault that it happened. Maybe they shouldn't have behaved like that. And I don't know, has anyone else seen those people who literally say, the Jews should have just presented a logical case as to why Hitler was wrong when he persecuted them, and they would have been fine. And it's just like, there is no talking to someone who is capable of saying something that fucking stupid. Like, you've crossed over into flat earther territory at that point. And it's just like, with some people, you just go, oh, no, we just hit a point where talking to you at all is a complete waste of my time. And in fact, again, as I said in the previous ones, that's an actual specific tactics of a lot of these people, just to deliberately waste time. And it's just like, no, fuck the lot of yous. Why won't you engage with me? Because you're a fucking piece of shit, okay? I've seen a lot of jokes along that, which I find quite funny. Like, white nationalists and neo-Nazis in the US saying, we want a white ethno-state. Non-white people saying, go fuck yourself. And then a centrist popping up and saying, hey, you're not even listening to their argument. You need to engage with them. No, at a certain fucking point, you don't engage with someone because you don't gain anything from it. Tariana, that's literally the argument they make. That they say, like, someone's bashing you, you should use your words to explain to them why they're wrong to bash you. And that's like, no, fuck off. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting. There's a joke or someone's got some biblical illustration that it's like wrestling with an angel, and the angel's holding the person's hand above their head like that, and someone's put the caption on it, and the angel spoke and said, stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself. But lo, Jeremiah could not stop hitting himself, for in fact the angel was holding his hand and hitting him with it. Oh, yeah, you're right. The heretic language they use. People like Alex Jones, when they say New World Order, specifically when they say globalist, what they're saying is the Jews. Yeah, so it's just absolutely. Oh my God! Speaking about Alex Jones and his paranoia, did anyone see the thing a couple of days ago? Alex Jones stormed a Google headquarters with Milo Yiannopoulos in tow, supposedly saying something about Google's behind a big conspiracy, surveillance everywhere and blah, blah. Just Jones saying his normal paranoid shit. And I assume Milo was along for the ride because he gets banned from various platforms. I don't know. But the funniest thing happened, like the Google staff is saying, Alex Jones, well, no, you can't come in and shout and scream, and I've called the police, so you should probably leave. And whoever the fuck your sidekick is too, I don't even keep up with your shit. So the two of you, I don't even know who that is. Just get out. And Alex just goes, that's Milo, that's Milo. And the guy goes, that doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know. I don't care. You just need to leave because here's the cops. Like, it fell flat so badly. But Alex Jones's audience will lap that shit up. Oh, Google is, a big bit. And honestly, there are a lot of things. There are a lot of things you can pick on Google for. Just Alex Jones is not the person to be doing it. Oh, no, Ruka-san, I'm with you. Yeah, turning 30 is a good turning point, where you realise having a reasonable dialogue with fuckwits is a waste of your time. Oh my God, La Heretic, yes! Kanye bursting in on TMZ's office to say really dumb shit about the black experience in slavery. And that one guy in TMZ just called him to account and just said, dude, you are saying actively dangerous, damaging, and hurtful things. Uh, he's just saying like, no, you're abusing your position to really hurt people. Yes, Shane, I think Google dropped the "don't be evil" thing a few years ago. Oh God, Darren, you got 8 hours of welding. Good luck with that, man. Stay strong. That is not a small undertaking. 8 hours of welding. So good luck with that. By the way, Shane, I did see you actually out there. Adrian was not well, unfortunately. I did talk to him today, and he's been unwell for like a long time, like a month or so. It's really quite troubling how unwell he is at the moment. Keep hoping for things to turn around, and they're not. And so when you've got as many fucked up things as AIDSy, being sick is a major thing. Like he's had some time in hospital, and then they've done this hospital at home thing where he's having medical people come around and stuff. But no, he's not great. We're still hopeful he's going to get better, but he has not been great, which is not a good thing. I don't know. Okay, for some reason, the opening bit of Bohemian Rhapsody just popped into my head. You know, Mama just killed. I don't know why. And then I had my head that Muppets version with Animal doing it, and I just saw the trailer for the Freddie Mercury biopic, which is called Bohemian Rhapsody. With, what's his face from Mr. Robot playing Freddie Mercury, and which kind of looks interesting. And I don't know, but then I saw a headline being kicked around that said this film won't even mention the AIDS crisis. And I don't know if that's true, but man, if it is true, that is a really shitty thing to do. I like the trailer for it. Exactly, Bjorn. How is it a fucking Freddie Mercury biopic if you don't cover the AIDS crisis? Like it's actually if true. See, sometimes I worry that it's just people being outraged for outrage's sake, and sometimes I worry that it's actually the movie studio deliberately putting out a rumor that's really inflammatory just to get people talking. And but if it does turn out that they pretend the AIDS crisis isn't happening, that's really shit. Oh, well, Shane said, thanks for the positive wishes to AZ. And I always pass them on. Like, everyone's always so good. Everyone always says nice, positive things about AZ. And he gets to see that, and I tell him about the reports, and it really makes him happy. So your support is really, really quite important, and thank you for that. Oh, nice, Bury. That someone which you came up with the line. Someone said that's not a biopic, that's biphobic. Yes, Heretic. No, AZ is not okay. He's been really unwell for I don't know a month or so now, and not getting better. So we hope he will get better. I talked to him today, and he sounded like he had a really bad cold or something, but he's had all sorts of complications over the last month. So we keep hoping that it's going to turn around, but it's not good at the moment. So yes, I will pass on all the love and good wishes from everyone. He does really appreciate it. So, you know, always thank everyone for being that positive. But yes, Seth, I like that. The movie's Wayne's World got into Queen with that song, and Tia Carrere was your first crush at 10 years old. That is awesome. I love that. That is really good. That's the funny thing. Like, okay, it was a Wayne's World came out long enough ago that there was still often quite a delay between a film coming out in the US and a film coming out in Australia, like months, sometimes a year. Like often with TV shows, we were more than a year behind the US. And I mean, that just doesn't happen anymore because people watch it on the internet. But there were Wayne's World had been out for a long time in America before it opened in Australia. And what I kept hearing was, oh, the Bohemian Rhapsody bit is the funniest thing ever. You cack. And people had said it. So, you know, when people keep telling you, this is amazing, you know, and it builds up too much and you don't like it when you see it or you don't laugh. And so I went to all Wayne's World and I'm enjoying it. And then they start doing the lip syncing to Bohemian Rhapsody. And I'm like, is this the thing that everyone said was funny? It's not that funny. You know, it's like, yeah, no, they killed it for me. Yeah, and they're doing all the thing. But when it gets to will not let me go, oh, and it got to the head banging bit, and with a dun and they're all doing dun in the when they all started head banging in the car in unison, I actually just laughed so much. And I was like, oh, I did all the lead up to it with the lip syncing. I was like, yeah, I suppose it was funny, but everyone talked it up too much, and this doesn't seem funny to me. And but then when they all started head banging in unison, I lost it, and I laughed so much. Lyric, the No Stairway to Heaven scene was funny. Oh, hell yes, I'm going to see Deadpool soon, too. Sooner rather than later, I hope, so I don't get any spoilers. Hey, Sebastian, yeah, he's right at the end, man. I'll probably be gone in about 10 minutes. Yes, the Han Solo movie. I want to see the Han Solo movie. I'm not, like, really amped for the Han Solo movie, but I want to see it, and I hope it's good. I want it to be good. I want to enjoy it. I think it's got a good chance of being good. Oh, you're big into Hendrix on vinyl. I was never a huge Hendrix fan. I don't hate Hendrix's stuff, but it was just not something I got into. That 60s, early 70s music, I never really got into. Um, it's just a thing, I guess. I mean, obviously, Hendrix was a mind-blowingly good guitarist. I won't pretend for a second wasn't a mind-blowingly good guitarist, and he was a really innovative performer as well. Yeah, I hear Ruki saying, I know you'd be a fucking Hendrix fan. Doesn't surprise me. It's just one of those things. That was not a period of music that I seriously got into. You know, like prog rock in the 70s. Although I do like King Crimson, I have to admit. Uh, and that famous album In the Court of the Crimson King. Yes, Tara, God knows where Mimsy is. Haven't seen her. She might be outside. Who knows? Um, but yes, no Mimsy in tonight's live stream. So yes, we are sans cat for this live stream. Sadly, you're holding it full. Can you see? I'm really not at all interested in seeing the Jurassic World's thing. I probably won't even go see it in the cinema. I'm just not interested. Oh, video games. You like Laurie Anderson. I remember Language. Yeah, Language was a virus when I was at college. And Oh, Superman. Uh, yeah, there's a bit of Laurie Anderson that I was into in the 80s. Larry, do you think I can be an old hand? I'm down for that. I could definitely do that. Definitely. Yeah. Oh, you're into the funk stuff. George Clinton, Parliament, Funkadelic. Okay. Yeah, see, I'm not really into I look, I recognize the artistry and I don't hate it, but I'm not really into funk, prog rock, all that sort of stuff. Safa, see, I don't really ascribe to the saying music these days isn't as good. There is good music. Music has changed. If you haven't changed along with it, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly acceptable. But I think there is very good music around now, and there was very shitty music in the past. Hey, Lewis, doing good. You've got about the last 10 minutes here, buddy. So, oh, Shane, thanks, man. You went back from the shut the fuck up mask days. Yeah. Sebastian, if I listen to Run the Jewels, yes, Run the Jewels are okay. I tend to, when I drive to work now, mornings, afternoons, I tend to listen to Triple J on the way there and back. Oh, Jamie, you're into classical Japanese music, Yirama. What was it? In the 80s, there were some Japanese sort of pop bands, Yellow Magic Orchestra, and out of that came Ryuki Sakamoto, who's probably most famous for the soundtrack to Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, and what's the other guy? Yukihiro Takahashi, pop music, Japanese pop. Yeah, look, everyone has their taste, whether it's current or old. I mean, okay, what's new stuff that I've been into over the last couple of years? What news? I've been a Downward fan, but they don't even really count as new anymore. But you know, this like Aussie hip hop. I like. Oh man, AB original. Like I really liked the debut AB original album, Reclaim Australia, and they just released the first new thing for since then, the single Blackout, which is a fucking banger. It really goes off. It shows like some progression and growth and change in what they're doing as well, which is nice. What else? You know, I bought. What did I buy last year? I bought Montaigne's album last year. She's an Australian singer, songwriter. Her album's really good. Uh, I think the last new thing I bought was the Youngblood EP. Because I really like that track Polygraph Eyes, but generally I like Youngblood stuff. So yeah, you can see the pattern in there. I do have a bit of a weakness for hip hoppy stuff, but yes. So I think I just said with Charlie. What about who had a Vincent Price intro? I remember. God, what's Vincent Price done over the years? I was really into "Welcome to My Nightmare" by Alice Cooper with the song "The Black Widow" that Alice Cooper, I think. Safa, do I buy CDs or digital music? It probably depends what's cheaper. I still do occasionally buy CDs, and sometimes I get the digital versions as well. Oh, Kazan, I'm with you. 1200 Techniques. I love 1200. Like, Rip It Up. That was a great party song. Um, uh, yeah, I'm with you. 1200 Techniques deserved better. Uh, but I just think I understand when people say, "Oh, music is not as good as it used to," but I think it is. It's just changed and it's different. And if you didn't change along with it, that's fine. Everyone's in a particular zone for their taste. But I think music is as good now. And because I don't rate a lot of stuff. Oh no, this stuff, this it. Like let's just accuse of being a heretic for not being particular into Hendrix. Like when people say "Stairway to Heaven's" an epic song. I think it's a really boring song. I don't like "Stairway to Heaven" at all. Oh, they heard if you like the 90s stuff. So yeah. See, for me, it's like 80s stuff. When I first got into indie music in the second half of the 80s, but like my my playlist on phone I'm listening to on nonstop at work, it's got. I mean, there is some stuff from the 70s, but a lot of 80s stuff, a lot of 90s stuff, and since then it's like I get the Triple J Hottest 100 each year, so I can find out what kids were into last year. It's a bit I don't want to be into what the kids are into today, rather be into what the kids were into last year. That's about as progressive as I can take. Um, but I do have a lot of compilation albums from the 80s and 90s on my playlist. But like I said, I occasionally buy new stuff, like the ones I was saying. A big fan of the Hilltop Hoods. a few other Aussie hip hop acts, Montaigne, AB Original, and yeah, I'm pretty sure the last new thing I bought was Youngblood's EP. Oh, Shane, you're into old school metal. AC/DC, Def Leppard, Whitesnake, Black Sabbath. That's all the stuff. Yeah, Iron Maiden. When I was at school, that was big time what was being listened to when I was at school. My actual favorite band growing up was the Aussie rock band, The Angels. They're a slightly arty rock band. It's like if you're into rock, there's a period where there's like threes, like sort of mainstream but still decent rock was Cold Chisel, fronted by Jimmy Barnes. I was into the Angels, who were a bit artier, and then if you were like indie lefty, there was Midnight Oil. Oh, the Midnight Oil was a bit younger than both Cold Chisel and the Angels. Yes, I've heard of Jackson Brown. Jacques Montez. Was it? He had a big hit in the 80s called Lawyers in Love, I think. Not a particular fan of Jackson Brown. Video games, in regards to music, are musicians on YouTube taking over? Books as well. Just a random thought. It's an interesting random thought. Music is one of the biggest things on YouTube and has been for a couple of years. Ha! Sorry, because I've heard of them. Australian metal bands being hilarious with names like band name like Alice Through the Windshield Glass. Yes, I have heard of them. It's interesting. There's a doco has just come out. A bunch of stuff. It's called Midnight Oil 1984, and it's a bunch of archival footage from 1984, which is actually when I saw Midnight Oil. I saw them live in 83, 84. So I might see that doco because it'd be like reliving my youth. Oh God, yeah, Red Gum. Red Gum, for those who don't know, were a very political band. They were sort of folky rock, and they had this huge hit dedicated to Vietnam veterans called "I Was Only 19." They had a few other hits of varying degrees, but their huge hit was "I Was Only 19." I saw them live once, I think. Don't think I saw them twice, but I definitely saw them live once. Iruka-san, I think that doco Midnight Oil 1984 would just be an interesting archival piece, even if you're not mad for Midnight Oil. But for me, it'd be pretty funny because all the live stuff they're doing, that was the actual time I saw the band live. So that would be interesting for me. Ah, The Heretic, you're 90s, Alice in Chains or Nirvana. Yeah, I got that first Alice in Chains album. I'd probably go Nirvana over Alice in Chains myself. Again, I wasn't because you get these really hardcore Nirvana fans who go, "Oh, the best track," and they'll say some really obscure album track or B-side. Well, I was mostly into their singles. I think my favorite Nirvana song was Lithium because the chorus is just Kurt Cobain going, "Yeah!" Like there's no lyrics in the chorus. He's just going, "Yeah!" But there was that real style in 90s stuff, and not just rock bands, like lighter pop bands. Like there's an Australian pop band that I was really into called the Falling Joys. There's that 90s style of song where the verses were really quiet and then you rip into this big chorus. That's where you can tell something's very 90s if it's guitar based and the verses are really quiet and it rips into a huge chorus. Yeah, Heretic, something like that. Like, yeah, someone go, I'm a real fan because I think the greatest thing Nirvana ever did was like when they covered a Diva song. Yeah, because I think good. I think we all agree musical elitism is bullshit. Ruka-san, did you see? I still haven't watched that Metallica doco where they're all in therapy, some kind of monster. I keep meaning to, but I haven't. Oh, so if you like Tom Waits, Tori Amos, yeah, I like Tom Waits and Tori. Not a huge fan, probably more of a Tom Waits fan. I think also Tom Waits as a person, I love. I read this article a while back, where I was talking to various musical artists about inspiration, and they're going like, how much of it is inspiration and how much is hard work? And the general agreement was there is inspiration, but you get nowhere without hard work. But because you work hard all the time, occasionally inspiration really hits you. And Tom Waits told this story. He was stuck in a traffic jam in LA, and this wave of inspiration hit him. What felt like what would just be the greatest song, the idea was churning in his head, and he had no ability to write anything down or record anything or whatnot. He goes, "This is all going to leave me. I'm not. This song that feels like it would be the greatest thing ever is never going to happen." And he said, "I just wound my window down and stuck my head out the window and shouted up at the clouds, 'I can't use this right now. Give the inspiration to someone else,'" which he acknowledged was a completely silly and superstitious thing to do. But he was struck so suddenly out of the blue by this wave of inspiration. He said it was like the muses had come down and said, "Tom, here's the greatest song ever." And he's going, "I can't do it. I'm in a car driving. I don't have a pen or paper. I don't have anything to record anything. I'm going to forget anything that comes into my head now." And I just really enjoyed that as a story. The thought of Tom Waits sticking his head out a car window saying, "I can't deal with inspiration at the moment. Give it to someone else." Shabby, you like the Tom Waits burger and fries? I remember, okay, and this is in danger of being musical elitist. One we used to play when I was at college, it was a B-side of a Tom Waits thing. It was like a spoken word thing called Frank's Wild Years, and I friggin' loved it. But just generally, I loved Tom Waits's really gravelly singing. Yeah, so not a huge Tom Waits fan, but I really do like his stuff. Yeah. But hey, look at that. It's 10 o'clock and it's a school night, aka a work night for me. So I am going to bid all you fine people farewell, not before thanking you all for your company, because it has, as usual, been a most enjoyable time. So thank you very much for being such good company. And yes, I hope to see you again soon. We'll see how I feel after work tomorrow, if I manage to get it together to actually do a pre-recorded end of week TFU Friday video, or maybe on the weekend. But you all look after yourself. You're all incredible people. Want to see Chat, you think the two dislikes come from Ramadan? I don't know. I think people celebrating Ramadan are my friends, but who knows? So yeah, everyone, have a good night, have a good day, have a good however long it is till we meet again, and I hope we do get to see you again in live stream or in video comments, maybe even on the socials. Even you, Ruku-san, great big sweaty hugs for you. I'll write the troll the other day. Okay. Okay, so yes, look after yourself, everyone. Look forward to seeing you again another time. And I will, Jason, you're very late, mate. I'm saying good night. So look after yourself. Good night, all. I'll see you another time. Bye now.